Hello students! It's time for another flipped grammar lesson. For this lesson, you will need your Whisk worksheet and a pen or a pencil. When you get out your Whisk worksheet, under Unit of Study, please write common and proper nouns. Are you ready to get started? Let's go! First, let's take some time to review information you have already learned about nouns in 5th grade or even earlier. First, what is a noun? Well, a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. On the screen, you have some examples of nouns that fit into each of these categories. For example, a person could be Miss Rule, your grandma, or the bus driver. A place could be Bentley School, your living room, or Hawaii. A thing could be your cell phone, your game system, or a bicycle. And an idea is something a little bit more abstract, such as your health, happiness, or friendship. You might be asking yourself why it's important to be able to identify a noun. Well, nouns are an important part of the English language. It's true that nouns are often the first words a baby speaks. Ask your parents, what was the first word you spoke? For my children, one of them said ball, and the other one said dada. Both of those words are nouns. Also, you must have a noun in a sentence for the sentence to be complete, so that makes nouns pretty important. Next, there are more nouns in English than any other type of word, such as verbs or adjectives. And, as we've already learned this year, the subject of a sentence is always a noun. So, let's take a look at some different ways we can try to find nouns in a sentence. Of course, you always want to be thinking about how a word is acting or functioning in a sentence in order to determine if it's a noun in that sentence. However, there are some clues that the suffix of a word can give you to provide a little hint as to whether that word might or might not be a noun. Nouns can end in many ways, and it's often tricky to know whether those idea words are nouns or not. But the endings that are listed on this page can give you a big clue, because these suffixes can be found at the end of nouns. For example, meant. The word encouragement is a noun, and that ends in the ment suffix. Ness is another one of those noun endings. Kindness is an example of a noun. Ity, such as in the word charity, is also a suffix that is commonly used for nouns. Shun is a very common noun ending. Think about the word communication. That word ends in tion, and it's a noun. Finally, we have ism and ist. These two suffixes are also used for nouns, such as communism or dentist. Now that you've reviewed that a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea, and you've looked at some of the very common noun suffixes, try to find the nouns in these sentences. First, the sunshine fills me with happiness and warmth. Did you find the nouns? In that sentence, you should have found sunshine, happiness, and warmth. In addition, you might have said me, which is a pronoun. A pronoun is just a special kind of noun. All of those words show a person, place, thing, or idea. Let's look at number 2. One civilization that believed in polytheism was ancient Egypt. Did you find the nouns? You should have identified civilization, polytheism, and Egypt. Those 3 words signify a person, place, thing, or idea. Now that we've practiced finding a few different kinds of nouns, we will also be looking at the difference between common nouns and proper nouns. First, let's look at common nouns. Common nouns do not tell a specific person, place, thing, or idea. They're only capitalized if they're the first word in a sentence. So, in most cases, you'll see a common noun used with a lowercase letter at the beginning. Watch the following video and see how many common nouns you're able to identify. Find any common nouns in the video you just watched? On the screen, here are some possible common nouns you could have identified. Some others you might have said were mask, or contest, or hat. There are a lot of common nouns you could have come up with in this video. Next, we'll switch gears to proper nouns, which are the other kind of noun we will be studying this week. Proper nouns tell a specific person, place, thing, or idea. In another person's writing, it is usually pretty easy to find a proper noun because proper nouns always begin with a capital letter. However, sometimes when sixth graders are writing something for themselves, they have trouble remembering which things they should capitalize and which things they shouldn't. So we're going to take a look at some examples of proper nouns. Let's start with the easy stuff. Some easy to find proper nouns, by the time you get to sixth grade anyway, are names, geographic locations, buildings or monuments, and titles. Most sixth graders realize they need to capitalize these types of nouns all the time. So when you see a person's name, or you see the name of a country, continent, town, or state, the name of a particular building, or the important words in the title of a book or movie, you know you need to capitalize those words because they're proper nouns telling a specific person, place, thing, or idea. Now let's take a look at some of the tricky proper nouns. A lot of times in sixth grade, students still have trouble remembering that these types of nouns also need to be capitalized all the time. When you're talking about a language, such as Japanese, English, Spanish, any other language, those are always capitalized because they are particular languages, and languages are things or nouns. Religions are another kind of noun that are always capitalized. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam always want to have a capital letter at the beginning. While we're talking about religions, the associated adjectives, such as Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, are also always capitalized because those are proper adjectives. Next, time periods. Months of the year, days of the week, or eras such as the Cold War or the Civil Rights period. Those types of words are capitalized because they are proper nouns. Finally, names of particular groups or organizations should start with a capital letter. Recently, we've had our election, and so you've heard a lot about Republicans and Democrats. Those are particular groups that should always start with a capital letter. An organization some of you might belong to are the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. Those are particular groups, so please start with a capital letter. Just when you thought I was finished telling you some of the tricky proper nouns, I've got some more for you. A lot of sixth graders also have trouble with these proper nouns. The names of a company or a store should always be capitalized, such as Apple, McDonald's, Target, or any of the other particular stores or companies that you might visit or patronize around town. The names of websites are also capitalized, So Brain Pop, Discovery Education, those are some websites we use at school. Also right now, you're watching this on YouTube, which is a particular website that should be capitalized. Next, holidays. Always start with a capital letter. Halloween, Christmas, and Thanksgiving are some of the holidays that we've had recently or that we have coming up. You want to make sure you use a capital letter at the beginning. Finally, streets and addresses start with capital letters because they are proper places, which is a type of noun. Bentley is on Illinois Highway. We want to make sure to capitalize that. Cedar Road is a major street in New Lenox. Also, Interstate 80, or any other major roads like that, would start with a capital letter when you're writing them by yourself. Now that we've looked at some examples of proper nouns, I'd like for you to watch the next video and see how many proper nouns you can find in it. Good luck. Finding proper nouns in that video. It might have been a little bit trickier. Some of the proper nouns you found might have been Bentley School or Halloween. Maybe you listed the names of particular students you saw in the video or particular characters that those people were dressed up as. All of those words are proper nouns that should start with a capital letter in your writing. One last thing to note about common and proper nouns. When you're working with these nouns, sometimes they can be shortened into abbreviations. And when you do that, you need to follow the same capitalization rules that you would have followed if you had written the word out completely. So, depending on whether it's a common noun or a proper noun, those words might be capitalized or lowercase. For example, if you're working with a title, a date, or an address, those words are normally capitalized or proper nouns when you write them out completely. So when you abbreviate them, you would also use a capital letter at the beginning. Mrs., with a period at the end, is capitalized because if you had written that word out, it would be the title of a person and therefore capitalized. The same thing with son, short for Sunday, and Ave, short for avenue. Those words would normally start with a capital letter, so we start the abbreviation with a capital letter as well. If you're dealing with weights and measures, those are normally common nouns, so you would keep them lowercase when you abbreviated them. Kilograms is abbreviated kg, and along with all other types of metric measurements, you would not use a period with those. However, the standard measurements, such as yards or feet, something like that, those start with a lowercase letter and end with a period. These are some more topics that we will be practicing a little bit this week and throughout the rest of the year. In this video, you learned about nouns, both common and proper nouns. Remember, a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea, and nouns can be common, which are general, or proper, which are particular. Common nouns start with a lowercase letter. Proper nouns start with an uppercase letter. Now that you've finished watching this video, you need to complete your Whisk worksheet. Just like before, if you need to watch any part of this video again, please feel free to pause and repeat as necessary. In the S section, write a 5-sentence summary of the content that you learned in this video. In the Q section, write down any questions you might still have after you've watched. If you have no questions, be sure to write a test question for your classmates. Complete this video by the due date and turn it in on time. We'll see you next week.